We're in the show, but I don't know if it's streaming. Is it?
Oh, now we're
no,
live.
it is.
We are live. All right. I don't know how many people are in the audience just yet. How you guys doing?
Enjoying the summer life.
Yeah, summertime's great, isn't it? Can't complain. All right, well, we're back for another AMA, the FutureProof You live career AMA. Thank you to the audience. Anybody out there that's listening, please share that you're here in the comments. Would love to hear from you. We are live here on LinkedIn Live as well as on YouTube Live. You can visit our pages, FutureProof You, on LinkedIn and YouTube Live. So, gentlemen, good to see you as always.
Yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, good to see you, Dan.
So we're here. We're going to talk about, of course, job search, but subject that's near and dear to my heart is LinkedIn profiles. So, love to hear from you, Aaron, since you had a minimalist profile not too long ago, and what's that change been like for you?
Yeah, the hardest thing is when you don't know what direction you want to go, or if you're trying to go somewhere you haven't been before, it feels fake or phony, or you go, I don't know how to present myself or brand myself. And one of the lessons that we've taught at FutureProof You that I follow every day as a student is speak to the future instead of just documenting the past. And that LinkedIn doesn't just have to be an archive of what you have done, like former jobs, former products, things like that. But you can speak to the direction you want to go. And I think of it like a billboard. How many people go click on your LinkedIn right now? How many profile views have you had? It's in the hundreds, if not the thousands. And you just think of that like a billboard that sits there while you're sleeping or working out or doing your day job. And for me, I mean, I think typical's 400 to 600 people a week look at my profile. Well, what are they going to see and who are they going to think that I am? And what collaborations, partnerships, jobs, consulting gigs, like whatever you're looking for, it's free advertising. So you might as well make sure it represents you in the way you want it to. And don't be afraid to speak to the direction you want to go, not just the places you've been in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I think where you want to go is way more interesting. I mean, it just is. Where have you been? Yeah, okay, so you've been there, done that. What do you think, John?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's always helpful, especially if you're career pivoting, like we talked about. But it's also, you're trying to, like, for instance, I have to refactor my LinkedIn profile because my interest in AI has been growing and growing, and I'm working with a lot of AI-driven companies, and so I've been implementing a lot of AI into my recruiting practice. I should be putting that I'm an AI-first recruiter in my profile, so that's something on my to-do list in the coming days. Just a reminder for anyone who joined us, you can ask questions in the comments below. Happy to answer any questions you do have, whether it's about LinkedIn or just careers in general.
Yeah, this is an AMA. That's what we're here for. We have a comment from the audience from Nick. Hesitancy towards phoniness is a virtue. Underscores the value of sincerity. So thank you, Nick, for your comment. So yeah, I mean, we're all here about helping people and helping people be true to themselves and where they want to go. I mean, that's what we're here for. So Nick, thank you so much for your comment. And so what are some of the trends you're seeing today? I mean, as far as we talk about trends all the time, right? And obviously AI first, we just had a class on the AI first mentality. Any other trends that you're seeing, Aaron?
I mean, one that I would say is with all the talk about young people, should I go to college or not? And this is the time of year they're making that decision. I see a lot of young people that are more open to entrepreneurship or doing their own thing. And some of that is lack of faith in the traditional path. But some of that is with a YouTube account and an Apple Note, you can learn almost anything. And people are starting to realize they can apply this stuff, build their own app, design their own websites. You don't actually have to go to college to get some of those. And from the young people I work with on a daily basis, I've never seen such a group that's interested in entrepreneurship, investing, and doing things on their own. So I don't have any statistics to back that up. It's anecdotal, but more than any generation that I've worked with in 15 years as an educator.
Well, I think that speaks to the belief that college is ROI negative, right? In many respects, for certain degrees, right? And especially with AI, taking over so many rules-based tasks. What are you learning in college that might be AI'd away in a couple of years? I mean, what do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, I also think it's what we're seeing is the millennial generation was promised, hey, go to school, learn something, you'll be able to get a job and use those skills that you learned in a job. And, Gen Z and Gen Alpha are hearing us say, hey, it didn't work the way that we were told. So maybe you got to do something different because the promise isn't a promise anymore. It's kind of a loose, maybe it'll happen. And so, I think it's amazing that people feel empowered to try and push those types of things for themselves because, there was a generational letdown and a lot of us are feeling it. I don't own property because I had a mortgage for my, education. And, it's unfortunate. And now properties are just ridiculously expensive, but it's just sort of what I think people are seeing.
We have a question from the audience. What are your thoughts about remote work in a post-COVID business world? Lots of places still offer remote. Lots of places are forcing folks back in the office. Should ambitious career seekers or early careerists embrace work from home or put on real pants and head to the office?
I do think like companies should be open to work from home, but I am a person who firmly believes that in person is a better experience for me. And part of the thing that I think is important is you look at what happened when work from home became a huge thing. A lot of businesses in cities went out of business because they don't have people working in offices anymore, right? New York City had a ton of businesses close because they depended on workers to purchase their food, their wares. And so when you have that stopping, you're kind of impacting local economies in some way, shape, or form. I understand the value of flexibility. And I've gotten a lot better at working from home compared to before COVID, but I tend to prefer being in office personally.
Yeah, I think it depends on the personality, right? So,
Yeah.
I think the possibility for collaborative work really depends on the person, right? So, Aaron, what do you think? You're in person all the time, so.
Well, for my main job, yeah, but then all the other stuff I do is till midnight when my kids are in bed and nobody cares. I think it's good to be able to function in both, and it's good experience to be able to do either one. The point of that question that I want to focus on is what about the early careerists? So you're looking for your first real job, or you're, say, a graduate that's applying or maybe looking for a position out of school. What are you guys seeing in terms of trends? Like, are these new jobs hybrid, 3 days a week in person, 2 days a week flexed work from home? Are they all in person? Are there still a lot that are totally remote? Like, what's the trend that a new grad or someone going into the career field could expect right now?
I think they can expect hybrid or work from office. I think there's still a lack of trust in early career people. Because supervisors don't get to have the oversight that they expect. I mean, there's still plenty of work from home jobs, though. I think one of the things that early career people miss from not being in an office is the informal mentorship that used to happen. The FaceTime with people who might be levels above you, the bumping into people at in the kitchenette, getting a coffee and having a conversation that could change the course of your career. And there's not a lot of easy ways to systematize those types of things outside of an office. It's a natural kind of interaction that you see.
Yeah, here's an example from a founder they shared with me. They said something you miss when you're remote. Say you're on the marketing team, you would have been brushing shoulders with, eating lunch with, at the water cooler with somebody from sales or somebody from design or someone from engineering. And when you work from home, unless you're in the Zoom with them, you don't have interactions with people that are outside of your immediate team. And that both your understanding of the bigger picture is lessened, but also just your skills and your way of thinking is different because you're more isolated when you work from home.
Yeah, I mean, John and I, we've been in sales, and we've been in those sales meetings. Sometimes all the good stuff happens in the last 5 minutes of a meeting. Sometimes it happens as you're walking to the elevator bank and you're pushing the elevator button, and the counterparty is there, giving you some inside baseball. I've actually seen it where the close actually happened in the elevator on the way down when the prospect came with me down the elevator. And I've also seen it firsthand where the prospect said, "Hey, what are you doing now?" Like, "Oh, we're my colleague and I were going to go across the street to the local Starbucks and go grab a coffee and just download this the meeting." And he goes, "Okay, can I come with you?" And so that opportunity to have face-to-face interact, that opportunity to network. So that would be external, but I think internal networking, as Aaron and both of you have said, internal networking is just as important, if not more so, right?
It's understanding also go ahead.
No, understanding where the pieces are moving informally, or you may get some idea that that product's going to go away, or we're going to add more to that. This group, those are opportunities.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't even have to be a couple times a week. But there should be ways of doing that. Like, we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't meet in person, Dan.
Right.
And most of my friends are recruiters. So I met so many friends in the city because we worked together, not because we met. I mean, I did meet people organically as well, but there's nothing more organic than going through, trauma bonding with people and all that fun stuff.
I was going to say shared trauma. But that would be a little pointed, for you and me, John. Since, but yeah, so Aaron,
plurals,
your
traumas,
thoughts, plurals, yeah. So Aaron, your thoughts. The real interaction, right, that you have as an educator, right? That that authentic, right? That authenticity happens, in person.
Well, and ironically, the thing that people come out of school, so let's say they're early grads looking for, do I want to work in person, hybrid, work from home, remote? The thing they're probably lacking is the social skills and the soft skills, because they might have taken one, I don't know, public communications class and then a bunch of technical things in their domain of expertise. But you're definitely going to get those more when you're in person. One of the interesting things that I've seen, our former student who did a successful career pivot through the help of FutureProof You is in a customer success role, and his industry sells to schools. So it's very seasonal. And one of the things that they do that I had not heard of that I was really impressed with is they said, when your cycle is slow, like customer success would be probably middle of the school year. They all have the product. They know what they're doing. There isn't a lot. You're going to go basically shadow somebody in a different segment of the business. Like, go hang out with a sales team, go hang out with the engineers and look at the product. And they actually make you go spend predetermined amounts of time with other parts of the team, even though they're all remote. And so there are some opportunities to do that. The reason I bring it up is, especially if you're a young person that doesn't know how this works, it can't hurt to ask, can I jump on that sales meeting? Can I, whether it's virtual or in person, like, can I shadow somebody who's on a different team or a step up from me? because I don't think very many businesses do that intentionally. But I was impressed with our FutureProof You graduate that said, I got to pick which other side of the business I get to learn, I think for 3 months a year when mine is slow.
So great. So great.
It reminds me of a colleague. Oh, sorry, Dan. It reminds me of a colleague I had. We must be delayed or something.
Yeah, it must be. Keep going.
I had a colleague who, versus getting laid off in recruitment, got to work on other projects across the business back when COVID was really bad, and was able to stay employed by doing other projects within the company because their company was dedicated to keeping their staff if they could, which I thought was really interesting.
That's great. Yeah,
Similar.
In 05, I spent time, I'm a sales guy, 05, 07, somewhere then. I spent a lot of time with our technical staff and really learning about the guts of how they service clients. And it's funny, like, from that, that interaction, I actually got some really great friends and really got to understand, what they did, and also outside of the office too, right? So we have a comment from the audience, from Nelson. Totally agree with comments about the mentoring or networking that happens when you have the informal collisions when working in an office with your colleagues. Yes, exactly what we're talking about. Reminder to the audience, please continue with your comments and questions. This is an AMA, so ask questions. We are here to help. So thank you.
I would also say, if it weren't for those collisions, as Nelson calls them, and I actually really like that term, I probably wouldn't have met everybody in my first job out of school in my department. And if I had not met so many people in my department because of those collisions, I probably wouldn't be a recruiter today. So, it has, I think, in my opinion, changed the course of my career.
Absolutely. And I can honestly say that every job that I've had has been through my network. And that network only gets built by having collisions, right? By actually spending the time with people that you don't know, right? You learn infinitely more from people you don't know rather than the people you're closest with. And so the more collisions you have, and maybe stopping by the happy hour even after work, when people have their guard down, right? And you can only do that if you're spending the day in the office, right? And so, So actually, pose a question to both of you. What if you're an introvert? What do you do? What if you're shy?
Introversion is an aspect of someone's personality, but a lot of times it has to do with where we derive energy or lose energy, right? But a lot of people think shyness and introversion are the same thing. Shyness can be a reflection of introversion, but introversion is social environments drain me, not fulfill me. Whereas I'm an extrovert, I'm fulfilled by social interaction, hence why I'm probably an office person. But that just means that the introverts have to save their social battery for those moments so that they can capitalize on those moments.
Yeah, I love the battery analogy. I think of that as well. What I would tell people is then you have to be very intentional about how are you going to recharge in order to have the energy you need to go into the meeting or interact with the people or network, because that's going to drain you. And if you show up already exhausted, stressed out, negative towards it, it's not going to go well. So for you, maybe that's, I need an hour to read when I get home from work to recharge and decompress, or an hour to do yoga or work out or go bike ride or whatever it is. And then you will know that you've recharged the battery for the thing that's gonna drain it when you go into that social environment.
And so what if you're shy?
That's okay. You can do it anyways. I think the biggest difference is there are lots of people that go, I'm not excited by this. This doesn't fulfill me or recharge my battery, in John's analogy. That doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to bite the bullet and do things you're uncomfortable with. It's called being an adult. I don't like going to the doctor. That doesn't mean I shouldn't do it. We have to do some things if you care about your career. And that's the thing. if you don't care about your career, then don't do it. But you're hurting yourself by not doing it. And I've known plenty of shy people who have no problem interacting socially once they feel comfortable. Find the networking buddy that you're comfortable with. Find the person who brings out the energy in you and partner with them at the networking event. Hey, guess what? Have a drink, loosen up. Or if that's not your thing, do something, have an energy drink. I don't know. Do something that's going to liven you up and make you feel more prepared.
Yeah.
So in this vein, right, of being out there, putting yourself out there, I'd like to pivot to LinkedIn and all of the things that we talk about at FutureProof You in helping people be out there digitally, right? What are some of the things that you've seen from both of you that really hamper people from having a full marketing strategy for themselves, a personal branding strategy for themselves on LinkedIn?
Getting in their own head, right? Like sometimes people hate, it's just like, oh, I have to work on my LinkedIn. Even I do it. We all do it sometimes, but you have to just say, okay, what's one piece I'm going to change today? It's also just challenging yourself. All right, I'm not creating enough content. I know I need to create more content. Find ways to make it easier on yourself. Find ways to just put something out there. One of the things that we always say is you don't have to create your own content. Find an article that you find interesting and create a couple bullet points of your key takeaways. That shouldn't take very long. Don't overthink it. Put it out there. We also say B- is better than nothing because nothing is an F.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Aaron.
I'll go the other end of the spectrum, which is probably less common, but equally problematic. And that's the way too overboard, scattered. I know we looked at one of our students' banners and they had, 7 or 8 different colors with 12 different areas they work in. And it just screamed, I have ADHD. Like, I don't even know what I want to do. And if you read the headlines below that, there's people that don't realize when you post, only the first so many characters of your description show up.
Mm-hmm.
So if you start with, I like to teach people about marketing, and you go comment on John's post, it'll say, Bob Smith, I like to teach. And that's all people see unless they click through to your profile. So not only do you have to be cognizant of what keywords or terms you put in there, but you need to think about which ones actually show up. And if you don't know what those are, the easy way to test, I should look up how many characters it is, but just go look at a post you've commented on and you'll see everybody else's little headline getting cut off. And you should be really intentional about what you put there because that's the only part 95% of people are going to see as they scroll through content because they're not going to click through to your profile. So being focused instead of trying to be everything to everyone.
Yeah, I totally agree about the headline being so key and important about that first bit of personal branding. I have personally seen just in the past 3 weeks, 3 or 4 people that who were looking for jobs, they were out of work, and they had their organizational title and company name from the company they used to work for. So, that's a no-no. So, and then also not having a photo at all. So no profile pic or no banner photo. I think you're just hurting yourself at that point.
Yeah, I see no banner all the time, and they have these default ones, which still, like John said, they're probably not a B-. They're probably like a C-. However, it's better than blank because you just look like you don't care if you leave it blank.
Yeah. I actually have a client who is in communications, and they've been in communications for a few years. They have no posts, and they have pretty much nothing on their experience for LinkedIn, for their previous jobs, and they're looking for a role. Yeah, why would you do that to yourself? They're in communications, right?
That's like a portfolio
good writer
for you.
Exactly. Yeah. We have a question or comment from the audience. A mentor recently told me it's not just who you know, it's how well other people know what you can do. It shows importance of sharing your skills and passion on LinkedIn, but it's hard for me, the commenter, to make those posts. Virtual shyness, John. So it's hard. Of course it's hard, but it's hard to put yourself out there.
Because you're putting yourself out there.
But yeah. Yeah.
And here's a good thing about LinkedIn. Everybody brings their business suit to the comment section. If you think it's hard to post and put yourself out there on LinkedIn, don't try TikTok, because you will get made fun of and roasted and hated on. Instagram, X, they're all worse than LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is really a good incubator for becoming familiar and confident in being able to post.
It's also like your test environment.
Yeah. I think too, like, for instance, I'm very reticent to do video, yet here I am in an AMA where I'm on video, but I don't see the people who see me, and I don't mind having a conversation. So something like this that's conversational doesn't bother me. So then, as Aaron would say, then clip these conversations and post these. That's the video you get out. You don't have to record a video where I'm like, I'm recruiting for a vice president of product right now, because that's going to make me feel awkward. And I'm even making fun of myself on the platform. It doesn't bother me, right? So it's the way to get your head around getting through that helps.
2 comments, John. I like the voice of yourself. And 2, aren't you actually recruiting for a VP of product right now?
I am, by the way, in AI.
Oh, that's so
very
funny.
cool job.
There you go, in AI, right? So, but now, how do you get out there to go find the talent? You go reach out direct, but you're also posting to put yourself out there for your business, right? So it's all about just getting out there. And Aaron, you have a great analogy that if your post is not good, no one's going to see it anyway.
Yeah, the algorithm protects you from getting, judged or made fun of, because if it's bad, it won't push it. The only stuff that gets widely viewed is things that are engaging people. They're dwelling on it, sharing it, commenting it. So that's what's so ironic about people that go, I don't want to look stupid. You will look stupid, but no one will see it.
So right. So that's great encouragement for all of you who are reticent to post. Keep posting. If it's not good, don't worry. Nobody's going to see it anyway. It's okay.
Yeah.
So,
and find creative ways to make the content. And you're probably already making it. You just don't capture it. I've told John this a ton. Transcribe your meeting notes. If you're a person who goes, when I sit down and open LinkedIn, I just don't know what to type in the post box. Okay. Open a voice memo, put your earbuds in and go for a walk and just talk. Take that transcript, put it into your AI tool of choice, play with a prompt that keeps your voice, but pulls out quotes or pulls out topics you could post on. If you're on a podcast, this is one of my favorite things to do. I tell people I'll come on your podcast if I get the files. And some of them are like, why do you care? Well, I want to clip the video in my stuff. I want to take the transcript. My best post that I had this week so far was from a podcast I was on back in like February. I just got the files Monday. And I clipped out 20 text posts and like 5 videos because I already made the content. So if you think like, well, I can't just sit down and type it, you don't have to. In fact, the best, most prolific people don't do that because it's not possible to post as much as they do organically one at a time. So take your Fathom meeting notes or your documentation from what you worked on and pull out the names and dates and like depersonalize it. There's a ton of ways to do that.
Yep. Ever since I started doing that, it's made my life dramatically easier, and I don't have to worry about getting in my own head because I just query my transcripts for nuggets of brilliance, as I like to call them.
And it's still authentically you. That's the best part. So all these people that say, hey, AI, write my post, that's not authentic. Hey, AI, pull out quotes from my transcript and keep my own words 100%. That is authentic. I got to jump, gentlemen, so enjoy the rest. The topic I want you to discuss, with all the entry-level positions potentially getting automated, what is your advice to someone career pivoting into an entry position or a new grad who's trying to find their first job?
I think try to be the one to help automate it.
He drops that question and then just bugs out. Thanks, Aaron. Really appreciate you being here. Yeah. So, John, right? So, with all of this being automated, so what does an entry level person do, or someone's making a pivot and knows that they have to go back to the beginning?
Yeah, I think, we talk about this a lot. And first of all, be the person who understands the automating so that you can automate yourself out of that job. That's how I funny enough, got to elevate my career by automating myself out of a job way back when. I was doing an admin job that it was rules based. I was able to help select a new vendor that would speed up the process and help reduce the need for another person, and got promoted into a recruiter role because of it. So, that's that can be beneficial. I also think, again, with rules-based tasks going away, it puts more of the demand on the soft skills, the EQ, emotional intelligence. For those who don't know what EQ is, people who are empathetic. And so work the soft skills, work those muscles, because between that and being strategic, that's how AI is going to elevate us as career professionals. Most roles will continue to exist. They'll just be different, right? You might become the prompt engineer for accounting versus the accountant. You might become the, one example is enough, I guess.
Well, I mean,
you,
ultimately, when you say automate yourself out of a job, right? What does that show? It shows leadership.
Yeah.
Right. It shows an emotional intelligence for the greater picture. And what does that do? It completely differentiates yourself from the rest of the pack that are just doing the job, right? And so if you can promote if you can automate yourself out, what it's going to do, you're going to promote yourself, right? Not just promote yourself like sell yourself, but you're going to promote yourself out of being in that mental space of doing those basic tasks, right? And you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore because I've found a better mousetrap, better way of doing it. And that's going to elevate your brand. You can log it as one of your coolest accomplishments, right? And I mean, I actually think that's great content too. Like, hey, I automated myself out of a job, and I got this other great role. Like just like you detailed there, make that one of your cool accomplishments and your cool stories on your LinkedIn profile. That you are not just somebody that can do the task. You think strategically. You're a builder. You're an innovator. You're using AI. All of a sudden, you may become that AI person. You're the go-to AI guy, right, or gal, right? That could actually catapult you to even greater things at the next firm. Yeah,
and that's the thing, is if you're always learning and always looking ahead. I've always been, this, Dan, I'm the go-to Boolean guy for people. John, I'm having a problem with my Boolean. For those who don't know what that is, it is a old school querying method that almost everything still uses, and I was obsessed with it. So I learned all these little weird, quirky techniques on it, and so everyone would be like, John, I can't find anybody, help me. And that helped me be someone that people kept around because of it.
But yeah, so that skill, right? Being able to find better ways of doing things, that's something that you should talk about on your LinkedIn profile, right? On your personal brand. I'm a problem solver, I'm a fixer, whatever it is. You want to be that person. Tell stories around it, put it into your accomplishments of the cool things that you actually did. These are just the fundamentals that we talk about on our classes here on this AMA, in our podcast. You really want to put yourself out there. You really want to be able to talk about the cool things that you can bring to whatever organization.
Yeah. Well, and look, like Aaron just talked about here on this, about if you're a guest on a podcast, get the video files, use the transcripts, etc. He just had a post scheduled that just went out like 3 minutes ago, talking about that. So he's talking about just things he's doing. The same thing, like Dan and I are recruiters. One easy thing I can say is, one of the things people talk to me about constantly is XYZ. You know, I'm not even talking about specific people. It could be a very short comment on LinkedIn, and they'll still get traction. You know, even my laziest posts will get 300, engagements.
Yeah. Well, so two things. Aaron's post that just went out three minutes ago, I think it's great because he's making content about making content about making content, right? So it's that meta description, right? And
for those who don't know, Dan, he always says, "This was content."
Did we just make content, right? And then the second thing is, right, when you're talking about it, verbalize it. You can use it 3 or 4 different ways, right? So not just as a text post, right? You can use it as a video, which is your favorite thing, John. So these are the types of things that we think about and we teach at FutureProof You. I encourage everybody to visit futureproof-you.com to learn more about our classes. We have a ton of free content on there on our blog, not just our written articles, but also our podcast. So please visit futureproof-you.com. And asking the audience again, please comment here. We are here. Bring your questions. We love to hear your questions and help you out. So, John, what are some of the other trends that we're seeing today? What are some of the other things? I mean, obviously, we're still seeing Microsoft laying off 9,000 employees. That was just announced a little while ago. Looks like Apple's using more robots, more robots more than ever, right? So
Amazon
all of
too.
These trends. What did I say? Did I say not say Amazon? Oh, yes.
Oh, you said Apple.
Amazon. I did say Apple.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So Apple, right, as well, right? They're using more automation. So what are some of the trends you're seeing?
I mean, I'm just starting to see a lot more companies spring up with personal robotics in general, which is interesting. If we think about some of these things, a lot of the things about saving time for people. We did get a question by Michael, if I'm pronouncing it. Michael, maybe, hopefully.
Michael,
I'm pronouncing
Michael.
Right. Looking back 3 years or so, what would you say are the 3 biggest changes you've noticed in the types of content listed in resumes? Please consider the good and the bad. 3 years. Types of content listed in resumes. I'm going to let you go first, Dan, because I'm not sure.
So
I've noticed any changes.
I think people are a little bit, they're realizing that they have to be more competitive. Right? And so having the old school resume that just talks about your skills and what you did on a day-to-day basis, it's just not going to cut it. So I think thematically, I think people are a little more aware that they have to talk about metrics, KPIs, that type of thing. I still see resumes where it's all about what a person did on a day-to-day basis, right? And there's no accomplishments. And
that's why you had to go first.
Well, so
because your head's there.
That's a thing, right? What you did on a day-to-day basis. Are you talking about skills or just the tasks that are involved, right? And so the skills and the accomplishments are way more interesting to your future audience, right? And so if you have a resume, it's got to be a targeted marketing document that's built for the audience, which you do know something about, right? You know that it's a hiring manager at a certain firm and the role, right? The job description, you know something about what they're doing there. Yeah. And so you really have to target everything you do from your profile to your resume, which is a targeted document. I think the dynamic, I've long held this. This is something that, John, I've been talking about for a decade, that, the resume, the dynamic of the resume as the be all end all, that you need a strong resume. And then the LinkedIn profile as a placeholder, it's flipped. It's 180% flipped. You have to have a strong profile, and your resume is pared down and it's customized. Targeted. Specifically targeted.
Well, and I think too, when you think about Michael, when you think about resumes, right? Dan and I, for at least our recruiting careers, our resumes aren't going to look that different, right? We've done pretty much the same types of things. Maybe we recruited different things, even though we have plenty of overlap. We're not going to look that different. My role over the past 10 years on agency side isn't going to look that different, except for what projects did I work on that made a difference for my firm? Did I make a process improvement? Did I launch a new technology? Did I create, like I created an assessment for hiring people at one of my firms? That's something I did that's different at different companies, but it's also different than what Dan has done. Created training programs. That might be something that Dan didn't do at one of the firms that we worked at, but I did. So that's what will set me apart from him in those roles. And that's the only way you can look at your resume. And then again, accomplishments. Did you increase time to, did you speed something up? Did you reduce risk? Did you bring in an ROI, or did you have a metric that you can put on your resume that might equate closely to an ROI, like click-through rate or some sort of figure that will help people understand what success looked like for you?
Right. And ultimately having those KPIs, right? Those numbers, numbers don't lie, right? I mean, people lie, but numbers, if you have good numbers, whatever the number was, maybe it's, you had a $10 million budget or a P&L, that's pretty good, right? Or, $50 million, whatever it is, right? You had a P&L, you were responsible for it. Let's say, and John alluded to this, it's, you reduced something, or you increase something by how much, right? Percentages or deltas or X to Y, right? I think those numbers will resonate. Now, do they apply to that next job? Of course not, right? They don't apply directly. They apply indirectly. And ultimately, you still have to make that connection with your audience, right? And that's who's the reader, right? And what do they want to hear? Do they want to hear about your, what you did on a day-to-day basis? No, they want to hear the really, really cool things, right? The cool accomplishments. A follow-up question for Michael: how do you check the numbers you see listed, if at all?
I'm guessing as a hiring manager.
John, as a hiring manager, maybe during the reference checks.
I mean, yeah, there's things you can do like reference checks. There's also, even in an interview, digging into stories and trying to understand, right? You can challenge something. Like if someone said, oh, I increased, I earned the company this much money. Oh, how'd you do that? Help me understand, explain to me what it was how you were able to accomplish that. You can dig into those details and try and find out, like for instance, if I were hiring a recruiter and they had their billings on their resume, I would start to ask them, oh, well, how many placements in a year do you make? And then I would say, what's your average deal value? And if the average deal value times the number of placements they make doesn't look like it's that number, it's not going to be a good look for them.
Right.
And if they don't know that number, I'm not hiring them because they don't care about money enough to be a recruiter at a firm I'm working at.
There you go. Perfect. We have another question from the audience. In today's hiring world, does your personal brand matter more than your resume? And if so, how do you build that brand and presence without it looking like you're trying to leave your current job? Thank you, Milton, for that question.
You'd never stop. That's the problem, is when you start acting a certain way out of nowhere, that's when it's obvious. But when you have a personal brand that you've been articulating throughout the course of your career journey, it's not obvious, right? It's because that's who you are as a personal brand. And so that's one of the big mistakes people make. It's not going to do you any good if you do it as you're looking. It's going to do you way more favors if you're consistent throughout the journey, because you're continually adding people to your network. You're continually getting eyes on your profile. And then that's when you start to get inbounds from people, is when you're being that proactive. So yeah, that's what I would say. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, network when you can, not when you have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that the answer is, you got to network all the time so that it's more authentic when you really, really need it, right? Connecting to people. I think that's a trap that a lot of people they fall into. Like, oh, I got a great new job. Right? I'm starting this new job. I don't have to network anymore. Well, I have, just in the past decade of recruiting, I have heard so many stories of, oh my gosh, I just got this new job and I went in and it's a nightmare. And, I don't believe, that this is the place for me. And I can't believe that I stopped networking. Like, oh no, what should I do? Got to get,
but also if you were more well networked, you might have been able to hear from somebody internally who knows that team is a cluster bleep.
Well, right. It's a lot of it's risk management, right? And this goes to the personal brand, that you're always out there, you're always proactive in your networking, right? On your LinkedIn. So your personal brand does matter more than your resume, right? Your resume is a sales enablement piece that you use for one job, right? So personal brand is marketing in your LinkedIn. That is marketing to that unknown audience. So, and as John has said, you are continually marketing to people who you do not know today, right? In just regular marketing. Right. And that's marketing 101.
Yeah, I call it career SEO, right? You're creating breadcrumbs to find you.
Career SEO is such a great term. We should hashtag that. Just like we hashtag, FutureProof You, right? And hashtag, my favorite is the Dano method, right? Hashtag Dano method. Yeah. So great questions from the audience. Thank you so much. We have about 10 minutes left here in our AMA today. So please ask more questions. Thank you so much to the people who have asked questions already, but we're here to help. Again, thank you so much to everybody that has been here and is watching. If you're lurking, that's okay. If you have a question that you don't want to ask publicly, that's totally fine. Send either John or myself a DM, and we can try to answer your questions directly. So feel free to DM us directly. Dan OU on LinkedIn, John Lovig. There's only one John Lovig that we know of that's out there, right? So
they say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, here we go. Ballroom. Blast from the past. Hey, what's up, Ballroom? Hashtag career SEO. I love it. Good to hear from you, Ballroom, from India, from Ahmedabad, all the way across the globe. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ballroom. Good to see
my
you.
My foodie friend.
He has the best. He's a great Instagram follow, isn't he? So because he has the greatest food videos. Ballroom, good to see you. Thank you so much. So again, we are FutureProof You, and we are here to help you. Please visit our website and our social pages. Our website is futureproof-you.com. You can learn about our courses. We have both live and asynchronous learning, where you can download the course and watch it on your own. We also have a ton of free content out there on our blog, from our written posts to our podcasts. And so, by the way, we're going to start having some guests on our podcast. So we look forward to that, and featuring people who have made the career pivots over their time, and just to show you, the audience, that it's really it's really a journey that I think everybody takes now, right? I mean, John, what's the average tenure these days for somebody in a job? Is it like 4
2
years now,
years.
something like that?
I think it's
2
down to
years.
2
Wow.
almost. Well, it depends on the industry. A lot of the
Right.
profiles I'm looking at, we're seeing 2, but 4 is probably the
incredible.
overall average.
So what industry? What is it? The product side, the project side, or what roles?
Product and product design, I'm seeing mostly on the 2.5 year front.
Wow. Right. So that goes to show that with tenures at companies being so short, it is so important to continually be working on your brand, because you never know when that good gig might end. Right.
Well, yeah, especially with
continue working the brand.
layoffs, just shifts in industries, especially if you're working for an earlier stage company. But even these big tech giants lay people off constantly. So,
Yep.
and I think that's why it's such a trauma to people, because they're never prepared for it. And people come away shell shocked. It, really hits them personally. If you're constantly networking, you'll be ready to go when something hits, and be able to really make that shift for yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Right. I mean, keep working on your brand, keep networking, right? Network when you can, not when you have to. Again, it's the fundamentals of you just managing your career, right? You're what's the concept again? It's a CEO of Me Incorporated, right?
Mhm.
You're in control, right? Don't let some faceless HR person who you'll never meet, be in control of what you're doing.
No offense to HR
Right.
people.
No offense to HR people, but they have a tough enough job, right? Especially going
Yeah.
through 9,000 layoffs at Microsoft. I mean, that's awful, right?
And they're
that you have to
usually
do that,
part of the groups that get
face.
laid off frequently too.
That's true. That is absolutely true. All right. So lots of questions today. Thank you. We have really great interactions. John, what are some of the cool things that we should expect from FutureProof You for the rest of the summer?
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to be doing more AI classes. We'll probably bring back some career favorites, maybe another run of Job Hunt Like a Headhunter.
Yes.
And some career pivot stuff as well. But
Yep.
yeah, we're going to keep the content coming.
Yeah, well, we had a really great AI first mindset class just last week. I think that was a big hit, and I think the class got a lot out of it. So I think that's a hot topic. Being in the AI first mindset, right? It's all about taking over. What you're doing on a day-to-day basis and being in control. We have another question, I believe. Nope, not me. No, that was on a different post. But yeah, so career SEO. So let's continue on LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn and career SEO. How important is it to have the right hashtags in your posts?
I think the right hashtags and tagging the right people are really important, right? So using hashtags that people are going to look for. And again, it's just like when we're talking about finding someone, when we're recruiting, the more prevalent keywords exist, the more likely you're going to show up. And so, I mean, I don't know how much the algo pushes hashtags, but I think it's helpful to have some good ones. It's also good for personal brand, like the fact that I say, career SEO. That's something I could put in a lot of different posts about LinkedIn, and then it's sort of like, this is kind of my thought leadership, and showing a little bit more of that. So I think that's always helpful.
Yeah, you mentioned tagging other people, right? That's just the easiest way to create scale, right? Because you're going to get in front of all of their connections, right? So if someone were to tag you or me, they would get in front of probably 10,000 people each, right?
Yeah, and it's like
so
when
if you tag both of us. Go ahead.
Like when a good instance to do this is, for instance, if you were to reply to one of Dan's comments, instead of just replying, say at Dan OU or Dan U, I think is what shows up your name when you tag you, because it'll notify him. What's that going to do? That's going to increase the likelihood that he's going to re-engage with you. And the more engagement the two of you have in those posts, the more likely your thought leadership comes in front of other people who are part of his network and gets featured in the comments. Because if you all look, it doesn't show most recent comment, it shows most relevant comment. And the most relevant comment is the highest engagement comments.
Yeah.
That's what it
more
defaults
engagement.
to.
Yeah, that's what it defaults to. You can switch the sort to most recent or all, right? I believe, or is it no? It's just all, just all. So, but
no,
that's
most
what we're here
recent
for.
and relevant.
Most recent and most relevant. Okay, yeah. So there you go. Right. So that's a perfect way to scale your networking and also create, continue to create your personal brand.
Yep.
You typed very fast, John. So
did you hear me typing?
All right. Oh yeah, I think everybody heard you typing.
Usually.
All right. So we're coming up on the hour. So if we don't have any more questions from the audience, thank you so much to everyone who posted a question and put themselves out there here on our AMA. Continue to put yourself out there. More posts, work on your profiles. It's so important. Actually, what I can do is I can actually share this article into the chat. I wrote this a few years ago for the person with the minimalist profile. I'm going to post this here. That went only to YouTube, I think. So I'll share another article an article that I wrote on LinkedIn profiles into the comments section on LinkedIn. It's for the person with the minimalist profile. So take advantage of all the free content that we create. And with that, John, you have a good rest of your day. Always good to see you.
Same to you. And happy 4th to everybody.
Happy 4th. Yeah. Always fun to do these, right? So thanks so much to everybody for joining. And I just posted that article on LinkedIn profiles. So with that, this has been FutureProof You. Our dearly departed colleague, Aaron McKelkey, he had to run. He had another appointment. John, great seeing you.
Good to see you too. Bye, everyone.
All right. Have a good day, everybody.